11 days. That is all that stands between us and the opening game of the 2026 World Cup. 11 days until the Azteca erupts, until the first whistle blows in the largest soccer tournament ever staged, until 48 nations begin a journey, only one team will survive. Yet on the eve of this massive event, nobody is talking about Mbappe's form, Messi's farewell, or England desperately trying to end 50 years of hurt. The one story dominating global football across every single platform right now is this. FIFA is under a formal legal investigation on American soil, just 11 days before kickoff. The Attorneys General of New York and New Jersey just slapped FIFA with subpoenas. It is a formal probe into shady ticketing practices right before the 2026 World Cup, GB News. Subpoenas. Real legal documents forcing FIFA to surrender internal records on how they priced tickets and marketed seating tiers. This is not some angry fan petition. This is not a social media campaign. This is the full legal weight of two American states investigating if the organization running this massive tournament broke consumer protection laws on their doorstep. If you have followed the sport long enough to remember when a World Cup ticket was something an ordinary working fan could actually afford, when the dream of being in that stadium wasn't blocked by a massive wall of thousands of dollars, then what is happening with 2026 ticketing feels like a piece of the game has been stolen from you. Because something has, let me break down exactly what went wrong here and why it matters way beyond the price tag. When FIFA announced 2026 would use dynamic pricing, where ticket costs shift in real time based on demand, it is the exact same model airlines and massive concert promoters use. The football world definitely raised an eyebrow. It was the first time a World Cup tried this strategy, and the panic was immediate and totally justified. The World Cup is not a pop concert. It is not some random flight to New York that you can simply skip. For millions of fans, it is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to watch their national squad battle on the biggest stage in all of sports. The emotional leverage that creates is entirely different from ordinary business. FIFA pushed forward anyway. Prices for over 90 matches reportedly spiked between October 2025 and April 2026. An investigation by The Athletic found 25% hikes for games in Mexico and Canada. GB News, a massive 25% jump after fans had already planned trips, booked flights, and reserved hotels based on the initial prices they saw. The ticket they budgeted for in October was absolutely not the price they paid in April. The tournament itself had not changed. The fixtures remained exactly the same. But demand shifted and FIFA's new pricing model moved right along with it, upward. Always upward. And the die-hard fans who were loyal enough to plan early ended up getting punished the most. Final tickets at MetLife range from $380,000 to $33,000. Resale prices reportedly hit $2 million. News now. $2 million on the resale market just for a football match. There are real people in the stands at every tournament, good people, genuine football fans, the kind of loyal supporters who chased their national team through bitter qualifying defeats, went home and came right back. Fans who simply cannot drop $200 on tickets, not because they lack passion, but because real life just doesn't allow it. And the brutal reality that a seat next to them at the final trades for $2 million online, that is no longer an abstract injustice. It is a loud statement about who this tournament is actually for. Football Supporters Europe and Euro consumers filed an official complaint against FIFA, accusing them of setting outrageous prices. They claim FIFA completely abused its monopoly power to dictate ticket costs for the entire event. The Royal Observer. Monopoly. That specific word matters because it captures a truth often ignored when people treat this purely like a basic market pricing debate. FIFA doesn't compete with anyone else for the right to sell these tickets. There is literally no alternative. If you want to go, you buy directly from FIFA, or you buy from a secondary market that FIFA's own pricing system naturally inflated. FIFA holds a total monopoly over 2026 ticket sales. They used that raw power to force conditions on football fans that would never survive in a normal competitive market. Hello? That is not some wild fringe opinion. That is the official stance of European football's biggest and most established supporter groups, and they took it straight to the European Commission. Now, this is where the plot thickens way beyond cash. Because this legal probe isn't just about massive ticket costs, it is about something much darker and far more troubling. Officials say fans were likely misled about their seat locations because FIFA quietly changed stadium maps after tickets were bought. Geo News changed the maps after purchase. A supporter waits in a virtual queue for hours and lines for massive football matches stretch all day. We all know the drill. They find a seat in the perfect section, pay the asking price they see, gets that confirmation email, only to realize the seat they thought they just bought is miles away from what the receipt describes. The zone map shifted. Now, that seat is stuck behind the goal, on the complete opposite end of the stadium. Lifelong football fan Brett Brzezinski welcomed the investigation. He felt totally ripped off by FIFA while buying World Cup tickets online. After sweating out the virtual queue for hours, he snagged 2 prime tickets for the Seattle Stadium. He paid $515 each. A few minutes later, his confirmation email arrived. The seats were in a totally different spot stuck behind the net on the complete opposite side. Geo News. $515 a pop for seats he never actually bought in a zone he didn't pick. Nobody should be tricked into dropping sky-high prices for seats. Football fans deserve to trust that the exact tickets they check out with are the ones they actually get. Bare news. We shouldn't even have to say that out loud. It should be the bare minimum expectation for any event ticketing system anywhere you get exactly what you pay for. The fact it had to be stated formally, on legal record by an attorney general, shows just how far modern football has strayed from any basic standard of treating ordinary fans fairly. And FIFA's response to this entire mess, completely consistent all along. FIFA President Gianni Infantino had a ready excuse when pressed about those absurdly high ticket costs for the upcoming World Cup. They are simply adapting to the North American market. Seriously, adapting to the market. That's their excuse for prices that, compared to any past World Cup tournament, look like a massive cash grab rather than just adjusting. The absolute cheapest final match tickets, open to ordinary fans right now, are over 7 times pricier than the cheapest seats at the 2022 final. The expected cost for one fan to catch 8 matches starts at over £5,000 for basic seats, jumps past $8,000 for mid-range, and breaks $12,000 for premium views. That's a massive spike from the last tournament, where watching 7 matches would only set you back £1,400, £2,600 or £3,900. The Royal Observer, 7 times more expensive at the bottom tier, for an event constantly sold to us as the most accessible World Cup in history. The big event promising to bring football to the absolute widest audience possible. The tournament where football unites the world. That slogan feels incredibly hollow today. Let's put this into proper historical context. If you've been following the sport long enough, you remember exactly how it felt when the World Cup truly belonged to the ordinary people who lived and breathed the beautiful game. Italia 90, France 98, even South Africa 2010, despite the chaos, you always knew the crowds packed into those stands were actual, hardcore football supporters. Regular fans who scraped money together, mapped out trips, and waited for years. The electric atmosphere those fans created was the very soul of the tournament. The vibrant colors, the deafening noise, the scarves, flags, and chants that don't perfectly translate into English, but every true fan understands in a heartbeat. That pure magic happened because working class fans could actually afford tickets. The fear isn't that wealthy people will show up in 2026. Of course they will. The danger is the balance flipping completely, stadiums stuffed with corporate VIP suites and investment bankers on business accounts, and tourists who only grabbed a seat because they had money to burn rather than living and breathing the sport as their main passion. And trust me, you feel that shift inside a stadium. Any true supporter knows it. The roar hits differently. The emotional stakes completely change. When a wonder goal flies in and you glance around, the pure electricity of that shared explosion depends entirely on exactly who is standing next to you. The harsh reality is this modern ticket pricing model shuts traditional fans out completely. leaving behind a sterile crowd built strictly on wealthy demographics. Good morning, America. That's a very polite academic way of confirming what everyday supporters already feel in their gut, that the World Cup is morphing into a spectacle watched by VIPs in $33,000 seats, instead of felt by diehards whose whole world is football. There is a very real fallout from this shift, showing up right now in the data. These insane prices aren't just sparking fan outrage, they are leaving stadium seats totally empty. Plenty of tickets are sitting unsold. Anyone up for $1,300 front row tickets for the Haiti vs Scotland group stage match in Foxborough on June 13th. International Business Times. Haiti against Scotland. A group match. $1,300 for a front row seat, and it is unsold. Just think about that from a pure tournament perspective. A game that deserves a packed stadium, one that should be loud, filled with atmosphere, and that raw electricity only a crowd of real football fans can create. Now, they might play to empty seats, simply because the pricing pushed out the everyday fans who actually bring that magic. Meanwhile, those wealthy buyers meant to replace them, they either bailed or just never showed up. There are serious fears that matches will look empty thanks to these extreme ticket prices. According to the News International, empty stadiums at the World Cup. It is the absolute last sentence any football lover wanted to read just 11 days before kickoff. What happens next is truly a mystery. The legal probe by New York and New Jersey is moving fast. Subpoenas are already out. Official documents have been demanded. Sports lawyer Alexander Rojas thinks this investigation could bring massive consequences down on FIFA. Whether those consequences hit before July 19th, before the final game wrapped in the most expensive ticket scandal in football history, that is a totally different question, reports Royal Insider. California's Attorney General is raising alarms too. Attorney General Rob Bonta stated they sent FIFA a formal letter, calling out reports of highly deceptive World Cup ticketing tactics. The legal pressure is mounting from all sides simultaneously. Facebook. FIFA remains completely silent on the probe, and the tournament is barely 11 days away. The realistic best-case scenario is that the actual football, once Mbappe shreds a defense in a packed arena, once an underdog nation pulls off a giant killing moment that reminds us why this matters, takes over the narrative, that the lawsuits drag on slowly enough to keep the actual tournament totally untouched, and that the vibe, at least in cities with the highest demand, feels exactly like a World Cup should feel. The darker scenario is one where court cases dominate the headlines all month long, where pictures of half-empty group stage matches completely hijack the coverage that should just be about soccer, where the debate that should be focused on the best players alive is suddenly about subpoenas, seating maps, and dynamic ticket pricing. There is a serious question to ponder as June 11th approaches, and I really want to know your thoughts. A World Cup pulling in $13 billion for FIFA, selling some tickets for $33,000, facing legal probes for misleading fans, and practically emptying its own venues because of extreme pricing choices. Did this global tournament actually get its priorities straight, or did something crucial die along the way? The soccer will be incredible. It always is. Players step onto this stage carrying the heavy hopes of their nations, creating moments of such pure drama that all the background noise just fades. But the beautiful game has always relied on the bond between the pitch and the fans in the stands, everyday people who sacrifice just to be there. That bond is exactly what makes the World Cup bigger than any other sporting event. And it is fragile, way more fragile than any spreadsheet suggests. 11 days. The Azteca, the greatest show on earth. Let us just hope those seats are packed with people who simply love the game. If these deeper football stories are what you stick around for, hitting that like button helps me out, and subscribing means you catch the next video. Let me know below. Does this pricing scandal ruin the tournament vibe for you? I read every single comment. Football at this massive scale is never just a game. It is a defining moment in history, and 2026 will definitely be one of them, for better or worse. And that is the part FIFA cannot simply explain away with another polished statement or another corporate phrase about market realities. Because markets do not chant. Markets do not cry when a captain lifts a trophy. Markets do not travel across continents wearing the same faded shirt their father wore 20 years ago. Markets do not turn a meaningless Tuesday group stage match into a memory a child carries for the rest of their life. Fans do that, ordinary people do that, and when those people start to feel like the tournament has been lifted out of their hands and placed behind a glass wall of premium pricing, dynamic algorithms, legal fine print, and luxury packages, the damage is not just financial, it is cultural. It changes what the World Cup feels like. It changes the sound inside the stadium. It changes the faces in the crowd. It changes the entire emotional contract between football and the people who built its power in the first place. That is why this ticketing scandal cuts deeper than a few angry headlines. It lands right at the heart of what the World Cup is supposed to represent. Every 4 years, the tournament tells the same story in 1,000 different languages. That football belongs to everyone. It belongs to the superstar stepping off a private bus, yes, but also to the mechanic who saved for months, the student who skipped luxuries all year, the family who turned one match into their summer vacation, the immigrant who sees their flag on the biggest stage and feels, for 90 minutes, completely seen. But 2026 is forcing a brutal question into the open. What happens when the tournament keeps the language of inclusion while building a business model that quietly excludes? What happens when the slogan says, everyone, but the checkout page says, only if you can afford it? That contradiction is not a side issue. It may become the defining wound of this World Cup, and the timing makes it even more explosive. This is not happening years before kickoff, when FIFA could bury the controversy under future promises and committee reviews. This is happening with the clock almost at zero, 11 days. Teams are finalizing tactical plans. Broadcasters are rehearsing opening montages. Fans are packing bags, or sadly cancelling them. Host cities are hanging banners across streets that may or may not fill the way they imagined. And in the background, legal offices in New York, New Jersey, and beyond are asking for documents that could expose how this entire ticketing machine really worked. That means the tournament may begin before the public fully understands what happened. The matches may start while the investigation is still digging. Goals may fly in while lawyers are reading internal emails. Celebrations may erupt while fans who feel cheated are still waiting for answers. That overlap is what makes this so dangerous for FIFA. The scandal is not separate from the tournament anymore. It is arriving at the gates with it. So when people say, just enjoy the football, they are not completely wrong. The football will probably be breathtaking. It usually is. There will be a last-minute equalizer somewhere that makes an entire nation forget every problem for one impossible second. There will be a goalkeeper who becomes a legend overnight. There will be a teenager nobody expected suddenly carrying a country on his back. There will be tears, flags, songs, and moments so powerful that even the most cynical viewer gets pulled back in. But enjoyment does not erase memory. Magic does not cancel accountability. A beautiful goal cannot refund a fan who paid for one seat and received another. A packed final cannot hide empty group stage sections priced beyond reason. A perfect tournament highlight package cannot answer why the world's richest football institution looked at the people who love the game most and treated them like revenue targets to be squeezed. That is the uncomfortable truth heading into 2026. The World Cup may still deliver greatness on the pitch, but off it, the question is already written in bold. Did FIFA sell the spectacle so aggressively that it forgot who the spectacle was for? And maybe that is why the phrase consumer protection suddenly feels too small for what is unfolding here. Technically, yes, this is about consumers. It is about people paying money for a product and needing to know exactly what they are buying. But football supporters are not ordinary consumers in the way a spreadsheet understands them. They are emotionally invested long before they ever enter a payment screen. They carry family history, national pride, childhood dreams, and years of loyalty into that single purchase. FIFA knows that. Every sponsor knows that. Every ticketing algorithm knows that. The entire business model depends on the fact that fans are not rational shoppers comparing interchangeable interchangeable products. They are people chasing a once-in-a-lifetime moment. And when an institution uses that emotional pressure to push prices higher, hide uncertainty behind confusing maps, or make ordinary supporters feel trapped by fear of missing out, it stops looking like smart business and starts looking like exploitation dressed in official branding. That is the uncomfortable word hanging over this tournament now. Exploitation, not in some dramatic, exaggerated sense, but in the most basic possible way. FIFA controls the event. FIFA controls the supply. FIFA controls the platform. FIFA controls the rules. Fans control almost nothing except whether they walk away from the dream entirely. And walking away is exactly what many seem to be doing. That is the great irony of dynamic pricing pushed too far. It is supposed to maximize demand, squeeze value out of every seat, and turn emotion into revenue. But when the numbers become insulting, the system begins eating itself. The loyal supporters hesitate, the casual buyers disappear. The rich fans wait for better options. The atmosphere thins out before the tournament even starts. Suddenly, a model designed to capture every dollar risks creating the one image FIFA fears most: empty seats at the biggest football event on earth. Because empty seats do not just embarrass organizers, they expose the lie. They show that price does not equal passion, and that a sold-out spreadsheet is not the same thing as a living stadium. A ticket platform can calculate demand in real time, but it cannot measure what happens when the people priced out are the very people who would have carried the noise. It cannot measure the difference between a crowd that watches and a crowd that believes. It cannot measure the loss when supporters who would have sung for 90 minutes are replaced by people checking their phones between corporate drinks. That loss may not appear in FIFA's revenue projections. It may not show up in the official post-tournament report, but everyone watching will feel it. The camera may avoid the blank patches. The commentators may talk over the quiet spells. Still, the tournament will know. Football always knows when its own heartbeat is missing. And that is why 2026 feels like a warning shot for every World Cup that comes next. If FIFA can take the most expanded tournament in history, place it in some of the richest markets on the planet, layer it with dynamic pricing, luxury packages, legal controversy, and still call it a triumph, as long as the revenue number looks big enough, then the future becomes frighteningly clear. Bigger does not automatically mean better. More matches do not automatically mean more access. More money does not automatically mean more love for the game. The danger is that the World Cup becomes less of a global gathering and more of a traveling premium entertainment product, landing every 4 years in whichever market can absorb the highest prices. And if that is where this is heading, then fans are right to be angry now. Not because they hate the World Cup, but because they love it enough to recognize when something precious is being taken from it.